Hi, everybody. Welcome to Knit with Laura and Lola, number 35. Wow, that was kind of stiff. I am Laura Nelkin. I'm a knitwear designer. I live in upstate New York in the Finger Lakes region, and I am joined by my alter ego, Lola. Everyone should have an alter ego because you have somebody to throw under the bus if you need to. My friend Lola is a little bit spicy, and I am sure she's going to show up tonight a few times. For those of you who have joined us for the last few lives, you know we had a syncing issue. We are hoping that we have that syncing issue fixed, but if we need to kind of stop and time things a little bit, we'll do that at the beginning so that watching the rest of this is enjoyable for everybody. I see lots of you in the comments. If you want to just drop a comment and say where you are from, I think it's really fun for everybody to see who's joining and where you're from all over the world. I know my friend Kimberly, I think I just saw her down below. I try not to read the comments too much, but it's early morning in Australia and she has joined us. If you have listened to the news lately, you know I live outside of Ithaca. And Cornell seems to have quite the number of cases of Omicron or Omicron. I think there's a debate as to how we say this latest variant of COVID. So Ithaca suddenly has like 1,100 cases as of today of COVID, and I'm officially home again. So it's been a little break out in the world. We're on a tiny bit of a COVID vacation, I guess, or I was, and now I am here and back, and I've got a ton to tell you about tonight. When I look down, it's because I have a bunch of notes and I'm not the best at remembering when I get excited. I can see everybody chiming in from all over. I just saw that somebody said that I'm tan. I'll tell you about that in a few. So things I'm going to tell you about tonight. I am thrilled to announce that the Knit for Food knit-a-thon is going to happen again in 2022. So I'll tell you a bit about that. I am going to give you some news about the N Club for 2022. I know a few of you have chimed in because I got a little clickbaity, like I'm going to tell you in this live, you should watch me do it. That was pretty gross of me, right? I'm going to tell you about my gift knitting. I've been doing a fair amount of gift knitting. I have not been posting about it anywhere because I don't want the gift recipient to see, but I'm pretty sure that the gift recipient does not have time to watch my YouTube live, so she will not see it. I'm going to talk a bit about Starry Light, which is behind me, and then show you a new light project I've been working on with my friend Jen. And then, of course, I'll share with you what I'm like watching and reading and listening to while I'm getting all my holiday crafting done. And finally, I'm going to tell you about what I'm wearing, which is Take Me Away scarf, which we've been waiting for a little while, and it is here, and I'm thrilled to tell you about it. And then finally, I want to say a super special happy birthday to Susie, who is our moderator on these YouTube lives to make sure that nobody chimes in with a more foul mouth than Lola has. And she is also a moderator in my Ravelry group and helps me out over in the Facebook group. And I just want to say happy, extra special happy birthday because I really appreciate all of your help. I don't know how I do a lot of what I do without knowing that everything's going on okay in other places when I'm not there. So I'm just scrolling down quickly. It looks like everything is off and running. So I think we should start right with what I'm wearing, this Take Me Away scarf. First off, the sweater that I'm wearing, some of you might recognize. It is called Novel Long. This one is knit out of an alpaca yarn that was a cloudboard yarn that I got through Craftsy. And it is a side-to-side sweater with a lace panel. I have a hard time doing this, coming up the shoulder and then underneath the arms right here. And really the reason I'm wearing it is because it was the perfect color to go with my new Take Me Away scarf. For those of you that were in 2020's N Club, you will remember Take Me Away, which was a cowl that came in 2 sizes. And earlier this fall, I released kits for Take Me Away in 5 different colors. The color that I'm wearing is the Paradise color. And I'm going to show you the scarf and then I'm going to show you what happens with the yarn because it's really beautiful. So this scarf right here, start on one end with the main color, knit in the same stitch as the cowl but flat. And then when it gets to the midpoint, you switch over to this really fun, sorry, I'm covering my face, this 2-color bi-color stitch that is kind of lacy and open work and has a fun stitch that I created. And then finally you end up in some really nice linear lace, and you can see the beads highlighting the ribbing in that linear lace, and then you kind of come down to the bottom with even more beads at the bottom. This is a really generous scarf. It's about an 84-inch scarf, I would say, which means you can do a lot with it. You can wear it the way I was wearing by folding it in half and then going like that around your neck, which kind of like helps it stay in place. You can also just kind of do the traditional scarf style where you start, I'm trying not to cover my mic too much because I get in trouble when I do that, and then have really long ends hanging down. And I'm gonna go with that right now. I'm trying not to cover my mic again. And what I really like about this, which is fun, and I'll kind of stand up so you can see it a little bit, is when it's long, you really have this like elongating quality. So if you had just a black long top or tunic and wore this and you're a little bit like height challenged the way I am, it would make it so that you have that kind of elongating quality to the scarf. A lot of you guys know that I am not a lover of knitting a rectangular scarf, but I am a lover of wearing a long rectangular scarf. So I did get help knitting this scarf. My friend Marguerite, who does some model knitting for me sometimes, helped me out with this, and we had a lot of back and forth figuring out yarn usage for each section to make sure that it was gonna work. But I was thrilled to hire Marguerite to knit it for me because I get to wear this beauty and I didn't have to knit it because I've been knitting some other things that have been just kind of using all of my brain lately. So thank you a ton, Marguerite. I am gonna happily wear this beautiful, beautiful scarf. Some of you who've gotten your Take Me Away kits already were a little confused when you got your kit because you said, I got some emails that were like, I thought there were 2 colors in the kit and it looks like I just got 1 color of yarn. Cheryl from Essence of Autumn, who dyes these yarns, does such an amazing job twisting these up. I'm gonna untwist it to show you, and then I'm not sure I'm gonna be able to retwist this one beautifully. But basically there are 2 skeins of yarn, a smaller skein of the lighter color and a bigger skein of the darker color. I believe this is the Bird of Paradise color. For those of you wondering, someone just said height challenged is diplomatic. That's really funny. For those of you wondering, the pattern is going to come out really soon. My photographer just had her, I can't even talk. She had shoulder surgery to fix a rotator cuff that was not behaving correctly, and she's not going to be available for photographs, I think, until the end of January. So tomorrow I'm meeting my friend Natasha, and fingers crossed, because it's supposed to be 60 degrees out, we're going to try to get some fun shots outside of it. And as soon as I have photos, the rest of the pattern is ready to go. And if you were in the N Club for 2020 or the N Club for 2021, it is going to be a present. So you'll get an email with a download code as just an extra special thank you for being in the club. Because I so appreciate clubs are kind of how I'm able to keep my whole train running, but I'm going to kind of talk about that in a second later. So that's the Take Me Away scarf. The next thing I'm very excited to tell you about is the Knit for Food knit-a-thon. And I know many people here joined in on the Knit for Food knit-a-thon last April. For those of you who are new to the knit-a-thon is a 12-hour knitting marathon, and we were raising money for food scarcity and insecurity in America. The money we raised, which was over $265,000, which just kind of like blows me away every time I say that, was split between 4 organizations: Feeding America, Meals on Wheels, No Kid Hungry, and oh my gosh, I hate it when I blank out. World Central Kitchen. I know I can do that in World Central Kitchen. So those are the 4 organizations that we split the funds between equally. It was absolutely the most heartwarming and important work that I did in the last year, and we are going to be doing it again in this February, February 12th, which is a Saturday, from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. Sign-ups, if you want to knit along with us and help us raise funds, will be opening on January 2nd. So if you're signed up for my email list or you're part of the Knit for Food Facebook group, I promise this is something I will be very, very loud about, perhaps a tiny bit annoying, but I want as many people to find out about it and be a part of it as they want to. So if you have a local knitting store or you are a member of a guild, this is like the power of knitters right here. The more of us that can share the word about Knit for Food as it goes live and get more people involved in it, the less people we'll have coming to us on February 13th who are like, I wish I had heard about that. I would have donated, or I wish I would have done that with my knitting group. My hope for this year is that people are going to be able to gather in small groups of vaccinated people and be able to knit together, or you can be at home. We will have some Zoom programming. I'm assuming that I think about half the day is going to have Zoom programming and half of it will just be hanging out and knitting. Who does not want to knit for 12 hours straight? I know I do. For part of the programming, we'll certainly have some like knitting ergonomics and yoga and stretches and things we can do to help keep our bodies healthy while we knit for that long. And we've already been kind of throwing around what worked last year with the Zooms, what didn't, what could make it a little bit better, but it was a success, and due to all the help of all of you, I want to do a extra huge big shout out to Bonnie and Susie, who were my team last year and are helping me out again this year. We already had our first Zoom to go over stuff, and we got spreadsheets built. What's lovely about this year is we have a framework. Last year we just had no idea what we were doing. This year we do have like a little bit of a understanding of what we're doing, so we're able to move forward with that, and it feels there's a little less adrenaline. That's what I'm going to say about it. It feels a little more like a comfortable project that I can wrap my brain around. So that is the Knit for Food Knit-a-thon, and you'll get more information about that as it launches, I promise. Next up, I get to show you all my gift knitting. Are you guys excited to see gift knitting? So let me, I'm still Max's sweater. Yeah, I don't know when that's going to get finished. Maybe next Christmas, Max, or Hanukkah. I haven't looked at Hanukkah 2022, but I'm not even knitting on it right now, so I don't know what I've been working on.
Oops, live's over, say.
You just said the live was over. Like, nice. We're going to have to get him a mic back there so he can chime in like a peanut gallery. What I have on my needles right now is a sweater for my dear daughter, Bella. And she is not watching, so she probably won't see this. It is knit out of Kama Rose Snefnug, which is the same yarn that I used to knit Twistola last year. So many of you have experienced Twistola in an accessory project. I believed I knit one of my Tosca tunics out of it, or a crop Tosca out of it last year. And I always knew that I wanted to knit like a warm, cozy, big sweatshirt out of it. So I decided to knit one for Bella. It's in this awesome dark rose color, which I'm not sure if it's coming across as well on camera as it looks in real life. So I'm not sure if the filters are making it show up as beautiful as it is. It's going to be a great color on her. She has this really beautiful olive skin tone, and I think it's going to be perfect on her. You can see that I did dolman sleeve shaping as I kind of hold it out, and then the bust and the hip size are the same. I kind of made the side panels, it's got a Novus construction like I often do, and I made the side panels a little wider at the bottom so that it was the same dimension at the bust and the hip. And what I'm going to do on the bottom is actually pick up some stitches and work down in a little band, because that's like a point I could make it longer or short, not so much shorter, but I could make it longer if I need to. So right now I've got the stitches on the needles for the collar right now, and I just have a bunch of ends to weave in and then that end. So she's supposed to come home on the 23rd, so that it will definitely be done. And I guess this is a tiny little hint, but I have finished knitting the next Lola's Choice that comes out the first week of January. And because Jamie is out for the count, I need to do the photography for that piece as well. And this sweater is going to match it perfectly. So there's a little hint as to like the color vein that the January Lola's Choice kit is going to be in. So of course I am going to steal Bella, and she's gonna put on her new sweater, and she's gonna put on the Lola Choice patterns. And then I'm going to take some pictures on her. So it's not completely selfless, the knitting of this sweater. What I haven't decided yet, I just saw somebody said, will you have her model it for us? And the answer is yes, she's going to be wearing it in the Lola's Choice photos. I haven't decided yet if this is going to be a pattern, but I will tell you that I just finished the second side panel this afternoon, and I put it on and I loved it, and I want one for me. This is definitely warm in the Sneffnug, and I do have some merino wool Corriedale that I showed you guys in the last log from La Bien and Me, and I might end up using that for a sweater and do like some striping going across, some kind of like long striping in that shape. So it's kind of time for a new sweater or two, I think. So that is Bella's present, which is so close to being done. There's someone in this room whose sweater is not going to be done in time for this holiday. It definitely wasn't done by Hanukkah, and we had like almost a month between Hanukkah and like the next holiday we celebrate, and I still didn't get it done. But I do have an idea for both him and his father that I can't tell you about. So that's all I'm going to say. But if I manage to carve out the time, which it looks like I'm going to be able to this weekend, you'll get to see those the next vlog, or I'll post on Instagram or whatever. But I can't give anything else away about that. And they're not knit. So there's that for you. Maybe I'll use my new sewing machine for something. I'm like such a tease. I'm the worst. So next up, I'm just looking down to make sure I got everything. The other gift knitting that I didn't do, I had help with that as well, as I made my mom a large Itbe in the gold oak colorway for Hanukkah, and I gifted that to her when I was in Florida right after Thanksgiving. So I noticed someone at the beginning said that I looked a little tan, and I did get to go to Florida somewhat recently, and then when I was in Connecticut it was really sunny at the latest retreat I was at, and I spent a fair amount of time outside. So I've been trying to soak up the vitamin D when I can, as well as taking it orally, because these are the dark days. I am a firm believer in getting all the vitamin D you can get at this time of year. It keeps me healthy. The Starry Light behind me is like blinking back and forth. I decided to try like it on a different setting, and it reminded me that the other thing that I'm knitting is with my friend Jen. Oh, it's all cut up. Give me a second here. You'd think I would like pull it together a little bit and have stuff laid out well. I am working on a project with my friend Jen, and she is Jenny Lee 44 on Instagram. And she messaged me on Instagram after I released the Starry Light pattern and said, I made a heart out of lights last winter after I saw Layla Raven's Knitted Lights. And do you want to help me figure out like how to write a pattern? And maybe you should write a pattern. I don't remember exactly what Jen said, but I was like, oh yeah, we should make a heart. We all need love in our lives at all times. And so she and I kind of had some back and forth. And then while I was still ruminating about how to knit a heart with one strand, she figured out how to do it and then wrote me up a pattern. And I tested it the other day. I'm just trying to get to where it is solidly lit. And then I tested it the other day, and it is gorgeous. I love my new heart. I think that Jen's calling it Love and Light. And what we're gonna do is release it on my Ravelry page with her name on the design as well. And all of the proceeds from selling Love and Light are going to go to an organization that we have not chosen yet. So she and I have a meeting tomorrow, and we're gonna talk about that. And then the pattern's gonna go off to the tech editor quickly, and we'll get a few photos of it, and it will be up. I don't think we're gonna wait to put it up. I think we'll get it up as soon as we can. I'm thinking it's gonna get easier for people to find lights as we get past the rush of people decorating with lights. I know that that was kind of like the biggest challenge about knitting the stars, was getting supplies. This is not knit. I think the larger size is knit on US 17s, but you don't need to use double points. You can use straights, you can use circulars, you could use 15s if you want. There's 2 different sizes. I just got some colored lights to knit another one, and I took a picture and showed it to Bella, and she definitely was like, I want one. Not in this like, will you knit me one, but kind of like, I'll take one of those, placing an order. Like, only can happen with your family to whom you just say yes to. This one has a battery pack, so she might get this one. The nice thing about battery packs is if you camp, you can hang these in. Last summer we brought one with us camping and we hung it in our campsite, and it was a great like get to the outhouse in the middle of the night like we have to do when we're over 25 and we don't make it through a night without going to the bathroom once. So it's pretty fun to have a battery pack for being able to do that. Another thing is if you want to hang something like this on your tree and you have the battery pack, you can hide the battery pack in your tree or similar. So Love and Light, look for it soon. I'm trying to figure out how to turn it off and I'm not very slick at that. So there we go. Number 9 is off for Love and Light. So that's another thing that I've been knitting, and I'm just looking down at my notes. I told you about Lola coming out in January. Next up, the thing to tell you about would be the N Club. I see people saying that, and Erin just said her mom just does that. Like, I'll take that, thank you very much. My mom almost does that, but she always wants like a change. Like she wants a different color bead or something special. So the N Club. Some of you who are following along right now have been in one of my larger kit clubs for years. It started out as the M Club. I ran the M Club for 4 years, and that was a club that was based on mystery knit-alongs. I would have 4 mystery knit-alongs a year. After 4 years, I decided it was insane and I was ready for something new, and I started the N Club. And the N Club had 3 kits in a year, and they are larger projects and larger kits. They're always designs that I adore, like Take Me Away, which I just showed you. Fill-a-Form this year was a hit. Volvox. They're always designs that I really want, that I want to wear, that I want to lean into and slow knit and enjoy every stitch. They're not like Lola's Choice. Those projects are designed to be like fast and fun and quick. You learn something, you make it, you move on, right? The N Club projects take a little longer. There's something to savor on your needles. Every year with the N Club, I've been adding new elements to the N Club. Like we have a private Facebook group. Now we do Zoom unboxings. Now that we have this awesome video studio, I shoot like a really in-depth and detailed video tutorial for the pattern. So that's there to support people whenever they're knitting it. And I absolutely adore doing it, and I'm very excited for 2022's club. All 3 yarns are already figured out. The order, I just paid for the yarn for the first kit today. I'm knitting on it right now, well, not right this second, but right now-ish, down on the couch, and I'm having a very good time with it. But I realized when I look at the year that I'm not having a lot of bandwidth for new projects. So I think about wanting to do a project, or I hear about something, or I have like an awesome idea in the shower. And I realize that between Lola's Choice and the N Club, I'm almost like scheduled out for the year before the year even starts, right? So like I already know kind of design-wise half of what 2022 is gonna look like. And I'm excited about that, completely excited about it. But I feel like by 2023, it's going to be time to shake things up a bit and do something new. And I don't know what that new is going to be. I mean, my friend Patty Lyons thinks that Lola should have a Wine of the Month club. So maybe Lola could have a Wine of the Month club. Max and I had another idea earlier that was totally insane that I already forget because it clearly wasn't a good idea. What if I wanted like lean heavy into the lace? I feel like whenever I do a crazy lace plot project for the N Club, that people get very excited about those lace projects. So I could kind of do a lace around the world where we like go to Estonia and I design something with Estonian stitches, right? Or like go to Iceland and use Icelandic stitches and kind of do like an educational deep dive for you and me. And I'm just throwing out ideas of like what I could do if I had the space to work on a new project. So one of the awesome things about being my own boss is that I get to change my mind, right? Like, and I get to pivot as I am inspired to. And that is what I'm choosing to do with the N Club. It's not that I don't love it. It's not that it's not successful. There are like 25 spots left for 2022. I think you want to join. It's always a good time. I know what's coming this year, and it is totally fabulous, and I encourage you to join us. And then 2023, we'll do something new together. So I'm not going away. Like, I can't imagine doing that. I'll retire one day, I guess, when I decide to become a quilter. But that's not coming for a while. So that's the story with the N Club, and it's why I'm shifting gears. The other thing that is kind of related to it is the reason I made the change is one of the things I do it every year is spend a bunch of time thinking about what I love doing and what I don't love doing. And because I'm in charge, I'm the boss, I get to lean into the things that I absolutely adore. And it is not that I don't love the N Club. I do love the N Club. I do not love selling the N Club. The thing I dislike doing the most is marketing and sales. What I love doing is being excited about what's on my needles, sharing that with you, and having you be excited too. Like with Love and Light and Starry Light and Take Me Away and Third Winter Hat, right? Like all the things I can think of, I have that excitement. But what's very hard about the N Club is because it's this thing where I can't tell you what it is. So I can share my excitement in these super like secretive ways, but it's hard. It's not as fun to sell when I don't have that, am I explaining myself well? I feel like I just used a lot of words, and I think I got the point across. But as much as connecting with you all on social media is something I really enjoy doing, just selling for the sake of selling on social media is thumbs down. So constantly balancing that, because I know that if I'm enjoying my time on social media, you are too. But if I'm just like pushing stuff at you, I almost said shit and I'm going to say stuff. I think you can tell that I'm doing that, and I certainly can, and I feel a little dirty when I'm doing that. So that is my goal. Keeping it authentic and keeping it in real in 2022 and moving forward. I just saw somebody said that I was explaining it well. So I will say thank you, and I will move on from that shift about the N Club. But if I'm going to be a salesperson for a second, 25 spots left, it's going to be amazing. Max is just like, thumbs down, Lola. Sorry. Okay. I got to remember where I was. Where are we going after the N Club? Oh, I want to show you a new yarn that I got. I got this yarn this summer in August when I went to Pittsburgh Knit and Crochet. And if you've ever seen my yarn bins in my office, I have this kind of cube wall that has bins to keep like cats and hair and stuff from not getting into it. So it's not like one of those beautiful, gorgeous walls you've seen on Instagram with all the yarn piled up all nice and neatly, like color and weight organized, because it would just get dirty at my house. It's all like in cubes and locked away. And I came home and I threw all the DK weight yarn that I bought that weekend into the DK weight bin. And the other day I was in there for something else, and I found this skein from Fiber Seed. It's called Sprout DK. It is 100% superwash US merino yarn that is sourced, milled, and dyed in the U.S. from a couple, I believe they're from Florida now. They might have moved to Nashville, but I'm almost forgetting that part of their story. And what I love about this yarn is they dye it in this way so that two ends of it are solid color and then the central parts are variegated. And I've been wanting to play with some kind of planned pooling project or hat. And initially I was thinking that maybe I could use it for Lola's Choice, and unfortunately it's a little too expensive to get everybody a skein of this for Lola's Choice and do that. But I think it would be a really cool side-to-side hat where like the part around your brim is the red and then the top is this stripe. I'm not sure if it would totally work or you'd end up with kind of like four different groups going around. I think I'd have to play with it to see. Maybe it would have short rows, maybe it would have a point, but it's a really fun dyeing concept. I don't know if anybody has knit with fiber seed before. It's a really nice superwash yarn. They also have some solid colors and some variegated hand painted colors, but this is pretty intriguing what they did. So I bought a few different skeins of it. Thinking that maybe I would knit Bella a bralette out of it. You guys know those ripple bralettes. I've knit like a ton for her over the last few years. So it might just end up becoming one of those for her, or I might try a side-to-side hat at some point. We'll see. I've got a few other things on my needles, but I just kind of wanted to share this new to me yarn that maybe is new to you and give you an idea of what I thought I could do with it. I think a few logs ago, when I asked you guys what you wanted to see in logs, a few people were like, show us a yarn and tell us about it and what you would do with it or design with it. And this one was pretty easy to do that with. And it's also very nice holiday colors at the same time. This whole holiday vignette back here with my gnome thong ski, and this is a little cork and nos that I knit years ago. It's like a wine cork that has a little sweater and a hat on it. I think that pattern's up on Ravelry. It was insanely easy. It's bringing me a lot of joy looking at the background of my set, whatever you call this thing, the corner of Bella's room that we're hanging out in while I talk to you. So that's yarn. Next up, I want to tell you what I've been listening to and reading and watching while I've been knitting on Bella's sweater and working on other things. On Monday, I got my booster shot, and it kind of took me down for the count. It seems like it's taking some people down. Other people are like, I just had a sore arm and I went on with life. But I think I was almost hoping it would take me down a tiny bit because I haven't had a break in a long time. And I just got on the couch with some good shows and some good things to listen to. My cat Buffy literally was so happy that I was on the couch for so long that she kept pinning me down. Like every time I had to get up to go to the bathroom or get more tea, she kind of like looked a little sad and bereft. And then I'd get back on and she'd lie on top of my legs again to hold me down in place. But what I've been listening to for an audiobook right now is Anxious People by Frederik Backman. He wrote a man called Ove, I believe it's called, and I am loving Anxious People. It is basically a whodunit, but it is based around a group of people in Sweden who go to look at an apartment together, and then a bank robber kind of like holds them up because he gets away from the bank and then he's going to be caught by the police. And they're trying to figure out who the bank robber is, and I don't want to give anything else away. They talk a lot about Stockholm and people from Stockholm, so I feel like there's some jokes I don't totally get because I'm not from Sweden, but they seems like there's a lot of jokes about people from Stockholm in this book. But it is very well written. I'm listening to the audiobook version and absolutely loving the narrator and the way that she presents the book. If you have ever listened to a book by a narrator that you don't enjoy, that is very hard to do, but this narrator is spot on. So I am very much enjoying that book and I highly suggest it. Reading, a few weeks ago, the National Book Club Awards came out, and I listened to a special about that on NPR, and I was very intrigued by a few of the books that they listed as winners. One of them was Last Night at the Telegraph Club by Malinda Lo, and it is a young adult romance book. It is a lesbian romance book set in just after the McCarthy era in San Francisco. It's kind of like a coming of age, a coming of understanding. It is beautifully written. I'm surprised that it's a young adult book. It's about teenagers, but it is certainly speaking to me as a grown-up woman, or, Lola's like borderline grown-up, so maybe it's speaking more to her than me. But it is poignant and real, and I highly suggest it as a read. That's been my bedtime reading, and I read about a chapter or two a night. I'm kind of stretching it out because I'm enjoying it so much. So that's my book. And then I've been watching a fair amount, and I'm kind of looking down at my paper so I remember to tell you all the things that I'm watching. I did try to watch the new Tiger King, didn't like it, stopped watching it. And then the other night I started watching the new Sex and the City because I certainly watched all of the Sex and the Cities when those came out in I guess that was like the mid 2000s, right, early 2000s. And I know a lot of people didn't enjoy it. The old Sex and the City was certainly like not woke in any sense of the word, I would say. And they kind of overdid it with the wokeness with this new version. I don't want to give too much away. So what I'll tell you is I watched 2 episodes. I see everything that is maybe a little cringeworthy about it, and I will totally be watching it tomorrow night when the next episode comes out. So I guess they got me. I don't want to give any spoilers away for anybody who hasn't watched it, but I will tell you that I heard that Peloton's stock crashed after the first episode came out, and that makes me giggle a little bit. Next up, I watched King Richard on HBO Max, which is the story of Venus and Serena Williams' father, who was their coach he was their tennis coach when they were little. And it is a really well done documentary biography of the role that he played in making them tennis champions. I'm not like a huge sports ball person by any stretch of the imagination, but I was completely enthralled with the piece and watched the whole thing. I would be remiss to tell you that if you have not watched A Castle for Christmas, which I made my parents do the week after Thanksgiving, you definitely should watch that. It is a Netflix movie. It is with Brooke Shields, and what is great about it is all the knitting. So Di Gilpin and Sheila, I'm just looking down so I get Sheila's last name, Sheila Greenwell, who I've met in Scotland a few times when I've taken groups to study Ganseys with them. They were both the knitting consultants on this movie. It is shot in Scotland with an American author who goes over to Scotland to kind of get away from her lion cheating husband, and she ends up buying a castle. She basically gets a castle for Christmas, right? That's how that works. And she meets a knitting group, and the knitting group basically becomes like the heroes of this movie. They save her, they're there for her, they teach her how to knit, they're all knitting. There's a ton of cave facet designs in there, and they are clearly really knitting when they're knitting. So if any of you have ever seen a movie with knitting in it where the actors, like where it's clearly fake and they're not doing it, this movie is not like that. There's like yarn bombing, there's a VW bus. My parents were not so into it. They were humoring me, but I totally enjoyed watching every second of it. And you might too if you like a little rom-com and you like a Christmas movie and you like a movie with knitting in it. So there's your like review about A Castle for Christmas. Finally, I am going to completely embarrass myself and tell you that my new escape that I found on my way down to Florida was Below Deck Season 8, which I can't even, I told my friend Debbie that today and she literally like snorted as I said it to her. So I'm not normally a reality TV person, but clearly like I needed a little escape to get away from a few things, and there's clearly 8 others. There's a 9th season. I've only watched season 8, so I could slowly devour those, but I'm gonna save them for like some stressful times in my life since I know they are pure, disgusting escape for me, and everybody needs that. In terms of eating, this is a long one. We're going on and on. I'm right around my 40 minute mark. In terms of eating, I am going to make bagels this weekend. I keep telling Max I'm going to make bagels, but dude, I'm making you bagels this weekend. So my friend Jill sent me some malt powder from King Arthur Flour, and I have never made bagels before. I know I can make sourdough bagels, so I can use my sourdough discard, but I'm going to start just with some plain bagels. I did read today about how to make cinnamon raisin bagels, but I think I should start kind of simple and then start to like do some additives. It doesn't look hard to make them. I've already got the cutters to cut out the hole. I think the malt powder is key for both putting in with the flour when you're mixing the bagel mix, and then also for when you do that boiling step. And I love bagels, and since we don't go into Ithaca so much anymore, and Ithaca Bakery has excellent bagels, the only time we're getting bagels is when they're fresh, when they come to the grocery store in Trumansburg. So if I could add making bagels to my baking repertoire, I think that I'll never have to leave my house again. There's that. With the Omicron here, I'm going to have to do that. So I'm just like making fun of the Omicron. That's the worst. We are getting ready to start making our favorite holiday things. So we have a few things we make every year right around that, like Christmas, New Year's week. We don't celebrate Christmas, but I didn't grow up celebrating Christmas, but it's like the holidays over here. And we just kind of like stretch out being together and cooking together in between Christmas and New Year's. Hanukkah was so early this year that's like we kind of celebrated all that. We had our amazing latke feasts, and now we're moving on into the next exciting holiday season. We're going to make some candied orange peels, which we typically make every year. And we tend to make the candied peels and then dump them into dark chocolate. I got a giant smile on the other side of the camera for saying that. The other thing I love to make is PULLA bread. PULLA bread is a Swedish cardamom bread that I've been making every year, and I need to find the recipe for that. Every year I go like searching in the archives to find the recipe that I use for PULLA bread, but it is so good. I normally make 2 of them because the first one we eat like the day it comes out of the oven, and then we want more. It makes super good French toast if there's ever enough left over to use it for French toast. And then I got a request from my family to make duck on around the Christmas days. So I've never made duck before, but I've been researching recipes on New York Times and talking to friends about duck, and I am going to look for some duck in town when I go there next, maybe tomorrow when I do a few things in town. So I think it's time to say goodbye. I have not looked at the comments at all. I'm very proud of myself. I didn't tell you that if you had any questions that I would ask for some questions at the end. So now would be a good time, if you have a question, to slap it into the comments, and I'll try to look down and see those and answer them while I tell you about the winner from the last log we did. And the last log we did, the giveaway was this amazing boob light, which everybody needs to have for knitting in low light situations. They're called neck lights, I believe. They're great if you are in the car and you don't want to blind your driver with your side light or your headlamp, right? Because they just kind of point right back down on your knitting. If you're at a retreat or somewhere else that's low light, you can just pull them out, highlight your knitting and your boobs at the same time. So the winner of the boob light today is DTHELEN0423. So I think it's D Thielen. I want to say I think that's Kim Thielen, but I'm not sure because she didn't give her real name next to her YouTube name. What I do is take all the comments from a giveaway and I do a random number, and then I count to that number, and that's the winner. So that's how winners are chosen for these giveaways. She said that she was breaking in her new oven with my boozy brownie recipe. So I'm thinking it's Kim because she was at the retreat and she got the wine flour to make the boozy brownies. Someone just said if I looked at all the comments, it would be a 2-hour stream, and I do try to keep them at 45 minutes. America's Test Kitchen has a great duck recipe. Will I share the bread recipe? Yes, Sue, I'm going to find the bread recipe and share it for you. How do we register for the drawing? So I haven't told you guys what the giveaway is going to be for today's log, and I will do that right before I sign up. So that's the answer to that, Renee. I've not told you guys yet. Susie, yes, I'll give you guys a link to the neck light. It is a great stocking stuffer, I gotta say. Few people asking about where to get the light. I will post links for you guys for almost everything I'm talking about. Thank you, Susie, for saying that. The Take Me Away kit has enough for the cowl. And the Take Me Away kit, you can either make 2 small cowls, 1 big cowl, or 1 scarf like this. So that kit does all 3 of those things, and they are listed in my shop. Thanks for asking that. Pattern will be out super soon. My buddy Eric's here, and he wants me to know that he and Carmen love me, and I love them so much too. I miss you guys really hard. Deborah just said that she recently got a boob light and her husband loves it. On that note, I think we should move on. That was Lola looking for the good comments right there. So the giveaway to end this log. So the next one of these that I'm going to do the next live from the studio. I'm really loving doing these lives. It seems like we got the syncing down, go Max. And I'm actually the most comfortable when we do these lives. It's almost the same amount of prep, but it just feels kind of in the moment and spontaneous and real. So the next one is going to be January 17th at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. I will remind you guys beforehand, I always send out an email if you're signed up for my mailing list. Also, if you subscribe to my channel, that's a great way to know when these happen. Keeping it real here. It looked like the sync is going off at the end. Classic, right? As I'm like, good job, Max. Thumbs down. Let's see. So January 17th, next log. Knit for Food will already have gone live. So we'll talk a bit about that. If there's questions about that, I'll go over them in that live on the 17th. I am going to end this live telling you what the giveaway is and what your prompt is, but don't leave your answer in the comments on the side. You want to leave those below the video in YouTube. So right now, if you're in that pop-out chat box, wait to leave your comment to win for the main comments under the video. If you leave it over in the side, it won't end up getting entered in the giveaway. I think I saw that happening last time, and I don't want people to miss out. So the giveaway is going to be a spot in 2022's N Club, because I could not think a better way to say thank you to you all for all of your support and love. And like, I want to give you all a holiday present too, right? So that is the prize. If you are already a member of the N Club, then I'll just refund you your money. So don't worry if you've already signed up. If you're worried that the club is going to sell out and you don't want to wait to find out until January 17th, if you have gotten in, then go ahead and sign up and I will refund you your money. When I've done this before, sometimes people end up wanting to give that away. That's totally up to you. You do not have to do that. But if you are already in, don't worry about that. You can still definitely leave a comment to enter. And because we are at the end of the year, and because we are obviously all reflecting a bit on our year as, well, not obviously, maybe not everybody is. I really do spend a bunch of time reflecting at the end of the year. I'd love to hear your year-end reflection. It does not need to be a goal going forward, but something that you've just kind of been thinking about that is a theme for you this year, that you like worked on or focused on, or something that brought you joy in 2021. I don't want to control what that would be for you, because for everybody that kind of thing is completely different, but just give me a reflection about 2021. I have been doing a lot of my own reflecting about what does it for me and what doesn't do it for me, and making sure that I go into the year kind of cleansed and ready to move forward with the things that give me energy and bring me light. So everybody stay well and safe out there. If you are not vaccinated yet, please go get vaccinated. If you are not boosted yet, work on getting that booster shot. I want us all to be able to get together again and again in real life. And I will see you on the next live on January 17th. Thank you guys so much.